Hello, everybody, and welcome to the UnderClocked podcast, where we make sure that Viking wakes up at a decent hour. On that note, Coop here, as always, and joined by my favorite Australian, Mr. Viking. Say hello.
Oh,
And today's
sorry.
special guest is what are you apologizing for?
I should be saying good day, but hey,
Well,
it still
let's say we're
works.
we're fucking 3 seconds in, and you already screwed something up.
Yep.
Today's special guest is Mortsy. Say hello.
What's up? How's it going?
So the reason that we have him on today is, well, not really the reason, but some of you may have noticed that a lot of our stuff focuses around like Arma. And although we love Arma and we play a shitload of Arma, I mean, just talking about me and
Sorry,
Viking for sure.
I'm correcting you there. Most of our stuff is around Sea of Thieves and Magic the Gathering.
Well, yes, okay. So Arma, Sea of Thieves, and Magic. But we aren't an Arma stream, so we thought today let's do a fucking 90-degree jackknife turn into fighting games. So we decided to bring Mortsy on today, and why would that make sense to bring you on?
Because I'm really freaking good at fighting games, dude. I'm so sick at these games. No.
Oh my god.
I'm good at one. I guess that's like a cue for my intro. Basically,
Yes, sir.
I'm
Who
a
are
Street
you?
Fighter
Why do
player.
we give a shit who you are?
Yeah, I'm a Street Fighter player out of Vancouver. I'm currently, I think, like the second best in Vancouver. Only second to Sarah Blast, who might be the best player in Canada. So I don't feel too bad about that. I'm the highest placing Canadian out of a tournament that just happened in Chicago, or a tied for highest placing Canadian
It's not
at a
good enough,
tournament that
you're
just happened in
tied.
Chicago.
Nah, we have to keep him off the show.
Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Damn it.
Freaking number two? No. The fuck?
Called Combo Breaker, and that just happened. It was a 600 entrant international tournament, and I came 49th out of that 600, tied for the highest place Canadian. I eliminated a Japanese professional player who I've been watching like play games professionally for longer than I've actually played fighting games. I actually eliminated him from the tournament. So I'm good at the games. I've been in the fighting game scene for a little while. I'm pretty most of the games, though the only one I really play well is Street Fighter, the new.
And you suck shit at Mortal Kombat, so.
I do. I'm still terrible. I still haven't been able to play because it still crashes, dude.
So this
That
guy
doesn't-
tells me one day, he's like, I opened Mortal Kombat and it turned into a slideshow, is what he said to me.
Oh,
That was exactly
God.
how it was described. What do you have in your computer? What's your graphics card?
I just upgraded to a what did I even upgrade? And 1070.
Well, that can run it.
No, actually, it might be a 1050. No, but I think it's a memory issue because the graphics are fine,
No,
but it ends up. I think there's some kind of memory leak, and it eventually crashes, and it's not consistent. Is the other thing? It's like, oh, this time I made it this far into the game, and then it'll crash, or it'll crash like on the load screen or something. So it's
Like, didn't you beat that
Throw more-
entire game in one sitting?
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Played it
Nearly
6 hours?
10. Oh, yeah, what is it? 6 or 10? I can't remember. No, Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands was fucking 10 hours. Yeah, it was about
Wait, you
6
did that in
hours.
one sitting too?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
If I'm playing a game, I'm dedicated to the game, man. Okay? Like,
I respect that.
I've been playing Red Dead again, and I was streaming
Oh
it
yeah, you're
before.
cowboy and chill.
Yeah, I did the Cowboy and Chill Part 3, and then I did Rootin' Tootin' more cowboy shooting. And they went for nearly about 6 to 8 hours altogether.
Oh really?
Yeah. So.
Jesus. But I had a question. So, for those of you who definitely don't know, Morts and I have known each other for a very, very long time. We used to play a lot of like Rock Band and stuff,
Yeah.
like competitively. Like we were both really, really good, like just between ourselves. But we were also like on world leaderboards, very good. Like we were very good at the game. And I'm curious as to where that turn went from like fucking Rock Band to like fighting. It kind of, for me as somebody who actually knows you, it kind of seemed out of the blue. So why did you start fucking playing
Wait,
fighting
why
games?
did you play Street Fighter?
You know, why did that?
So when I was in college, my friend happened who one of the guys that I was friends with was watching a stream by 4. I'm like, hey, that looks cool. And we started talking about it, and then he's like, yeah, they do meetups here at Algonquin at our college. So I started going out, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm garbage, but this is sick. So I started practicing. I bought my first like
Oh yeah, show it. Look at that.
controller. This is my controller.
Look at the fucking fight stick.
Yeah, it's a fight. Yeah, that's what it's actually called. It's a fight stick. So it's basically made to emulate what an actual arcade setup would be outside of, because normally arcades wouldn't have the extra 2 buttons. It'd only be the 6, and obviously the joystick. So I bought my first one, which was garbage, dude. My hands actually would hurt after a while from hitting the buttons because they were so like not soft, I guess.
That's how you meant to train, though,
It's
isn't it?
weird.
Yeah.
You meant to just fucking
Yeah,
mash
exactly.
shit. Your hands are meant to get so strong you can just memorize everything. I don't know how.
So that's how it all started, and then I kept playing, and Street Fighter V came out because I have a bad habit of, if I'm bad at something, I don't try to get better at it. So Street Fighter V came out, and I ended up being like, wow, like I'm actually good at this game. Like I started seeing a lot of the people that I was playing with, and I ended up slowly and surely became the best player in Ottawa when I used to live in Ottawa, or at least one of the best, and then eventually the uncontested best. And once I was good at something, I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna keep doing it.
It's an ego booster. You're
Because
just
I like
fucking
winning.
stroking your own
Winning
ego.
is so
fuck.
much fun. So I kept doing it, and now I'm like internationally good. One of the best. I'd say I'm one of the
pretty
best
sure I
players
heard
in
you
Canada.
tied. I don't
Well, I
think that's
tied.
a win.
I placed tied for the highest in Canadian player.
Right.
And I actually outplaced some like internationally renowned players, well, which was very happy with.
Did you get? But when you lost, did you get like totally fucked on? Like, did they just like destroy you?
The way, so I can't like screen.
Wow.
But I'm gonna
Sorry, no,
elaborate
I just
to
saw
make it
I saw
not sound as
Farsight's
bad.
comment. What the fuck? What's up, disgusting peasants and Mortsy? Wow.
Look, man, he's just speaking the truth, okay? So I won my first game, and my seeding for this tournament was garbage, dude. Like, there were 600 people. I was seeded, like, the 565th.
Do you want to explain what the fuck that means?
So, they do, basically, when you have a tournament, right, you do double elimination. You understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to lose twice to be eliminated from the tournament, and there's a winner's bracket, and there's a loser's bracket. Everyone who's in the loser's bracket obviously has lost one game. And then if they lose a game while in loser's bracket, they're eliminated from the tournament.
Right.
So what they want to do is the seed brackets so that the best players in the tournament don't play each other until later on. Because it would be super lame if you had the top 2 players in the entire tournament play in the first round, and then they would.
Right.
Like, you send the second best player.
Right.
To
So
losers.
you want the final to actually be like dope and like intense and shit. So you don't want to have them facing somebody who's just gonna get scrubbed out really fast.
Yeah. So what you do is you seed players, you rank them in such a way, and that determines the format of the brackets. So if you have 16 players, you would have the first seed in the first round play against the so on and so forth. It's like in the NHL how they don't have the first and second seed play each other round 1.
Right.
They have
right.
the first and 8th seed, and so on and so forth.
God, you know what you just did? Just so you related this back to hockey.
Yeah.
For once in the history of me and Viking playing anything together, and especially on this podcast, we've got 2 Canadians together.
That's true.
So you just related it back to hockey, and it makes sense.
Yes, perfect. I figure it's something, but that's the first thing I think of, right? Is it's hockey. This is something that makes sense for me.
Yeah, and the Australian guy's like, hockey. He plays some like, what's that game where you like ride a horse and you like hit stuff with a mallet? Polo. He does that, but on a kangaroo.
But then instead of sitting on the back, he's in the pouch.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like elbowing on his side like a horse, like to try and move it around. Wait, he's actually gone. What the fuck?
Actually gone. Wow.
Wow, but you know what? We can see. Okay, Look at that bucket ass setup he's got.
Oh
So he's
my
got like
God.
a fucking dining room chair with a DX racer strapped to it.
What happened to the actual chair, or did you just order the pads?
That's a great question. I've
Like-
never been. I know he owns the chair. I've seen the chair. Okay, what the fuck is this?
Gone. What do we?
Well, he's probably gone to do something, like take a dump or whatever. He just used the opportunity. But yeah, it's if you fucking walked away. There's too many Canadians now. If you look, you can't. I don't know if you can see it. But if you go into the TeamSpeak and you hover over me, the description is another fucking leaf because I'm one of 2 Canadians.
So, and I don't have one yet. I'll the third fucking leaf.
That's
funny.
Well, that's the TeamSpeak we use for our milsim. But we have our own little channel in there because for this basically. But yeah, so wow, wait, he's not here. He's not here. Do you play Sea of Thieves at all?
No, I've never played it before.
Never played it before. What about Magic?
I know most about it, but I've never actually played it.
I was trying to. Okay, so like a month ago, they came up with like a new set of cards, and there was like this big tournament I went to and whatever.
How'd it go?
I beat a pro.
Nice.
mean, I got shit on like in total, like in general, but
Yeah.
I beat a pro, so I was like, yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. I was placed high enough that I still got a prize, but I still
Nice.
placed kind of shit. But because of that, I had a bunch of extra cards. Because in a deck, you can only have 4 of the same card.
Yeah.
So I've got 8. Those other 4 are literally useless unless I'm making like more than one deck.
Yeah.
So I made a bunch of them and gave them to Tyler. And for those of you who are listening, Tyler's just a buddy that me and Mortsy have because, again, we know each other actually. So I gave him a bunch of these cards so that he could make his own fucking deck. While I was there today helping him set up a stream, they're still in the same spot they were in. And I hope that he's watching and listening right now because check your TS. Oh, Mortsy. So Farsight is the guy who
Oh God.
runs the mill. Like he's the pseudo leader. I mean, begrudgingly.
Leave.
Did he change it?
Yeah. The third fucking leave.
Oh, there he is.
Ah.
Hey, Farsight. Oh, he's gone.
What
He's
happened?
gone. So we were talking about the TeamSpeak because I was saying that me and Joe are like the only Canadians. So my thing was it was like a fucking leaf and another fucking leaf. So Mortsy was like, "Oh, do I have anything there?" And it was like, "No." So Farsight went in, changed his description, joined the chat, was like, "Fuck you, bitch," and then left the chat. Oh, and you were gone when we started talking about Magic.
Oh, it didn't take long, did it?
I didn't even. Yeah, it's just. It happens.
We're not allowed to talk about Sea of Thieves this week, by the way.
Oh, good. Okay, Magic. It's a Magic week.
Well, yeah, because we talked about Sea of Thieves last week and not about Magic. So this week we can talk about Magic, but not Sea of Thieves.
Well, did you see the deck I built that I sent you?
No. Oh, yeah, sorry. I looked at it and then went, oh, that's cool. It's a standard deck. I don't care.
You're such a prick. So, I know we have described this about 400,000 times in this podcast, but Mortsy has no idea. Commander deck, you can only have 1 of each card. Standard deck, you can have 4 of each card.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it goes.
Except for, like, land. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but Commander also has more cards. So he has 100 cards that can't be the same.
Wow.
And I have
Except
60
for-
cards that can have, well, yeah, except for the lands. But so let's just say for easy math, 80 or 75 cards that can't be the same. Whereas I have 40 cards that could be, like, I could have 4 of 10 cards.
Basically, yeah.
Whereas he has to have 75 individually separate cards, but the pool that I can choose from is much smaller. It's only
Yeah.
within the last 2 years, and his is from now until like 2003 or something.
Yeah.
And every
Interesting.
like
So-
5 months they come out with new cards.
What's the difference between? Because Legacy is another.
Legacy is
Thing,
before
right?
that 2003 time, so that's the shit that
Okay.
what he plays, which is called Modern. Even so, Legacy is cards that aren't allowed in Modern because they're fucking janky and broken.
Black Lotus or whatever.
Exactly,
that is. Yeah,
exactly. That's
yeah.
sort of the go-to card, but even in Legacy, that's banned.
Yeah.
Like you just
Wow.
you can't play that anywhere. It's fucked, and that card
Yeah.
is worth like 20 grand or something stupid.
Right.
And you just
yeah.
can't play
No,
it.
that's the.
No,
Which is the
exactly.
reason why that one comes up in my mind because it's.
Well, everyone knows it,
notoriety.
right? Someone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, an old, really broken card, Black Lotus, right?" It's like, yes, that card.
I got 3 wins with my commander deck too.
Did you?
Yeah, it was all infinite combos. It was great.
Such a prick, dude.
The
I
infinite-
hate.
the
Every time you tell
infinite-
me about your deck, I want to die.
It's an infinite combo where I have these two cards on the field. One is whenever your opponent loses a life, I gain a life. And whenever I gain a life, your opponent loses a life. So that's the infinite combo. So it just keeps backwards and forwards. So it just goes this card, this card, this card, this card, until they die, until everyone dies.
Don't you also have the card that says if you have over like 50 life or something,
Yeah,
you just win?
if you have over 40 life, you win. And I have cards in there that are
Damn.
like double your life. So I do.
But-
It's one of those two cards in one, and you can
Yeah.
literally just go, I double my life, and you lose half your life. So
Yeah,
I have
and that's the big thing about Magic is you always make a deck based on like a win condition
Of course.
or whatever. Like
So,
I've
like,
got a deck where the whole thing is based around one of the Planeswalkers, which is kind of like a legendary card, and its ability is that if I do damage this turn, the game's over and you lose.
So, and the other idea,
it.
the other thing is with Cooper's decks, though, he only has pretty much one way of winning.
Right. Yeah.
So he has to use those cards to win in his deck.
Yeah.
He can win other ways, just by fluke. But that's
Yeah.
that's the main engine of that deck. With mine, because I have like 80 different cards, I have multiple ways of winning. So like I said, I have the infinite combo one. I have the one that says if I have 40 life, I win. But that's obviously if I go around the table. So if it comes back to my turn and I still have 40 life, I win. And then I have this card called Sarah's Avatar. Sarah's Avatar is whatever my life total is how strong that creature is. So last night when I played it, or no, the night before, I was on 98 health. So that creature was a 98.
Jesus. And to put it in perspective, like a 6/6 creature is like, whoa, you put in
Yeah.
a big creature.
So when the Magic Arena or whatever the computer,
Yeah, Magic
like,
Arena.
whenever that came out, I watched it a bit because the popular like Hearthstone dudes swapped over for a bit. So
Right.
I have an understanding, and there were some guys when I was in college that also played it ridiculous amount, and I would just sit at the table and they would
Well,
play.
One of
So
the
I
guys,
like have an understanding.
one of the guys that won. This is a great card. It's you know what milling is, don't you, Coop?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I also know.
It's
yeah. So you do know. Okay. So
It's
what
the
he
AIDS
has,
of Magic.
he has traumatize, which means
Yep.
obviously you get rid of half your deck. So when a 100 card deck, he loses 50 cards out of his deck. Then he has a card that copies that card and says double it again. And he obviously
and then you just lose.
well, because you have no cards in your deck.
That's such and that's why Commander is kind of jank as fuck because like the game, everybody has so many win conditions. It's like the games go on not because they can't win. It's because you're not trying to win yourself. You're almost trying to stop the next guy from winning because
Yeah.
you all have so many win conditions.
Yeah, and I imagine it's not necessarily like the win conditions aren't necessarily consistent because everything's a one of.
Right.
So-
Whereas for me, I can build to it. Like I've got a deck where like I've got four of the same card, and their power is equal to the amount of mana that I use to summon them, and every other creature I have in my deck can be tapped for land, and I have 25 instead of 18 lands. So I'm just fucking playing lands for the first few turns. I might take a few hits, but then I'll summon like a 32 creature.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. Well, I have my only 60 card deck is a creature that gets a +1/+1 for every spell card that I play, and I have 3 spell cards that go with it, so it's a 3-turn card really. I get 3 mana on the field and I can play this card, and then the next turn, I'll play these 3 cards, and it will be a 10/10 monster after I play the 3 cards, but then it also
Yep.
has one of the cards gives a double strike, so it's a 20/20. And it's also unblockable, so it just swings straight at the person. And that's game. As soon as I
That's
get that
fucked.
creature, it's game.
One
That's
thing-
what I mean. That's the only engine in that deck is that card, that one monster in that
Yeah.
deck. But there's 4 of those monsters,
yeah.
so it's easy to
I
get.
have a question about that middle deck that you mentioned. The card that make you repeat it, but it said ditch half your deck, but
Traumatized, I think it was called.
Yeah.
yeah. So the second card repeats the 50 or it repeats the half.
It was another card. I can't remember the name of it. It was another blue card. It's like, how many cards you just discard that amount again.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So it was just like,
Damn.
here goes 50 cards, and now I play this card. Oh, you just got rid of 50 cards. Get rid of another 50 cards.
Just
And then
And then in a
100%
100 card deck,
And
it
then-
doesn't matter. He's
yeah.
negatives.
Yeah.
So, and then he has, Well, it's actually a 99 card deck, and your commander is 100. So.
Oh, right.
So yeah. So, he also has a monster that's like depending on how many creatures you have in your graveyard is depending on how strong it is.
Can you have more than 100 cards?
You can, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because in standard you can have more than 60, but like then it just lessens your odds of hitting your win condition,
Exactly.
so you don't.
That's why you only have
So
100. You only have 99 and then 100 with the commander.
okay, so there's our magic fix. I'm gonna put Mortsy on the spot here for a second.
Hit me.
I don't know. How do I ask this question?
Without being an arsehole.
I'm gonna start with what do you do other than play Street Fighter? What do you do for work?
You know.
Okay, I'm a 3D artist at a game studio called Piranha Games.
Oh, is this dude that you were talking about last
This
week?
is what I was
It's
talking
like,
about you
this is
last week, actually. That's
Okay.
why I'm bringing this up. I just don't know how much you're allowed to say and how much I'm allowed to say. So that's why I'm putting it on you, so that I don't say something I shouldn't or that you shouldn't.
Because last week we had Dagger on the show from the Arbanet podcast, and he came on and said, I have a friend that does graphic design and video games and stuff. And
Well, because we were talking about MechWarrior, and I'm like, I know a guy who works at that studio, and we
Yeah.
started talking about that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to stop here
And then-
because...
And then Coop was all like, I have a friend too. And then I'm just like, I have friends.
He's like, yeah. He's like, none of them are important, but I mean, I have them. They exist.
We all
Anyway,
have set our own milestones, you know?
anyway, back to the back
These are
to
just very
the.
low.
You have your thin line that you're allowed to cross here with your
Yes,
work.
so what do you do exactly? What are you working on now, and what are you allowed to talk about that's interesting?
To be honest, I'm not super sure what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. I'm kind of just... But I'll just talk and hope that I don't
Okay,
say
because I
anything
know you've told me
stupid.
something that's interesting, but I don't know if you're allowed to openly talk about it.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are we gonna?
I
Have to, are
can't
we gonna?
remember.
Is everyone in the
Oh.
stream gonna have to sign NDAs now and shit?
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm a junior 3D artist at Piranha. I'm now a full-time permanent employee. I'm no longer an intern, which I'm pretty or on contract or anything. I'm pretty excited about that. So I have an actual real job that's mine. Finally.
Nice. Yeah. Mike is like, well, fuck me.
God
then.
damn it.
I work at a
So-
factory. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'm currently working on. I was previously working on MechWarrior Online.
Yep.
I was actually in charge of the bolt-on system.
Which means?
It's basically the accessory system within the game. And I was the one who was implementing and retrofitting all of the mechs. So it was added into the game much later into its lifetime. And
So, like, if I
there-
wanted to customize and put like new weapons or new shit on a mech, you were the guy who was making that shit to retrofit on the old ones.
It wasn't necessarily it was like a purely accessory cosmetic system. It wasn't
Oh,
like
okay.
which was not
It's like
necessarily
when you have-
super.
Games from EA that you pay loot boxes for, and all you get is cosmetic shit.
Right. So you made like new skins
Similar.
and like new effects on the old ones or something.
Kind of. It was more just like pieces. It was like armor, not armor, but it was more like they're just like accessory pieces that you could put on a mech, and there were a bunch of slots like a head, shoulder.
Give
that
me
sort of
Oh,
one
thing.
so
example,
Sea of
one-
Thieves. When we think of
Sea-
Sea of Thieves,
Oh, okay,
the
sure.
clothing.
So like,
That's
if you,
probably similar.
yeah,
to
yeah.
that,
So like clothing for your mech, sort of. Like different armor
Yes.
types for like your shit.
That's our Sea of Thieves reference for the night.
There
But
we
they're
go. yeah.
more. I'm gonna try and find. I'll put the link in the chat once I actually find this. But
Sure,
basically,
but continue talking.
yeah, yeah, that was actually super easy.
Put it in an invite.
So,
We'll throw it on the screen so people know what the fuck you're talking about.
yeah.
Sure.
Or it would be if you're not a fan of MechWarrior, then it's kind of might be lost. But this is one of the things that I made that I'm kind of the most proud of. I put it in the there. So that's one of the mechs. That mech is called the Zeus, and I created in the lore. One of the prototype mech variants was called the Zeus X, and it had these really cool wing-like panels that were on its back. And so I made them so that people could use them or like as an accessory in the game.
Oh, you're talking about
Sure.
these. You're talking about these things, the wings coming off the
Yeah,
back?
yeah, those things, those aren't normally on the mech. That was one of the things that I made that was like a callback to a previous like really old. Hold on, I'll throw another image in here of like.
So on the mech, that would be something that like you unlock or you do or whatever, and
So
then you could get it and apply it to your mech.
basically, yeah. It's like it's a paid cosmetic, right? MechWarrior Online is free to play, so that was one of the ways that we monetized it.
Right.
So that other image there is the one is like it's the cover of because this BattleTech universe that the game takes place in is like, dude, it's older than we are, or just you and me. Like one of my coworkers, his dad was a BattleTech like fan. It's like a tabletop thing similar to Warhammer 40K,
okay.
back long before it became like a
game.
Yeah.
Because I remember the original MechWarrior and the Xbox original. That game was dope.
So, yeah, I did that, and I'm responsible for making a lot of the cool bolt-ons, for the record. Because there are some that aren't necessarily cool, and they were just like...
So all the good ones are ones you made, and all the shitty ones is somebody else?
That is 100% what I'm trying to say. Well, it's just like the way the bolt-ons were introduced as a part of like it's kind of like a rebranding. We introduced like a 1v1 because normally MechWarrior Online is basically like a first-person shooter, but you're piloting a mech.
Right.
But they introduced so it's a team-based 6v6, or it varies. There are varying game modes, but we introduced a 1v1 on this planet called Solaris, which was basically like a gladiator planet where they would do these 1v1s in these competitions in like a stadium and all that. So we introduced that, and the bolt-ons were like a part of it, or like where they would dress up the mechs in like spikes and like kind of
flex on the enemy
almost.
Or whatever.
Mad Max.
Sorry?
Like the flex on your enemies there a little bit, so like, here, look at my dope shit.
It would be like, well, you know how a lot of the gladiator equipment is decorative, right? The lion masks and the like spiked shoulder stuff. It's kind of similar to that. And so that was kind of how the bolt-on system was introduced lore-wise, canonically, because that's a big thing for MechWarrior fans is it needs to be proper for lore. And that's actually a lot of the motivation behind design decisions that are made are driven by lore.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of games are like that, because especially with a lot of these games that are kind of like Destiny, for example, just because I play a lot of Destiny and it's just sort of a good vantage point of whatever. They have this big, like, I actually have like a book of lore, like a hard copy book of a bunch of lore shit, and anytime like a weapon comes in or anything that even like deviates slightly or doesn't completely align with something, the whole fan's like fucking going in uproar. Like, you really have to, when you make lore, you really need to keep it consistent and good, and especially with something like that, or like Warhammer, or like things that have been around for a long time. Like if D&D all of a sudden like became like, oh, you know what, we went through a portal and now we're in the modern age, there would be a fucking riot. Like they'd be like, no, like that's not what this is about, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the lore has become super important, especially in these franchises that carry on for a really, really long time. So that doesn't make sense.
So yeah, I'm currently, though, we've dialed back a little bit on the MWO stuff, and we're really focusing, because we release in September for MechWarrior Mercenaries, or MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about or not.
Oh yeah, that's out there.
Was it announced?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember you told me at some point, and you were like, yeah, but like don't say anything to anybody, because like I don't know if I'm allowed, or like I don't know if I can talk about it or whatever. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna let you say it.
Very good. Yeah, I put the website in there.
Okay,
we're not even doing pre-orders.
Pre-orders has ended.
So basically, God, man, every single time I look, like, I think it's completely like I'm so happy with how things look.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the fuck? You just like released there for a second.
Well, it's like basically coming from initially my introduction to the series MechWarrior Online, because I hadn't really played the game or seen it. Yeah, dude. I had no prior schema about MechWarrior before I joined Piranha.
You didn't play the OG MechWarrior on... What's wrong with you? That was a flagship game. That was like, it came with Halo.
Dude, my first like console that wasn't Nintendo was Xbox 360.
Yikes.
So I never really played anything prior to that.
I didn't play MechWarrior when it came out. on Xbox, original Xbox.
But have you played it now?
No.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
but you're
haven't
like
played...
you're like 4 years old though. Like
No.
you weren't even alive when the fucking game came out, dude.
You weren't alive when
No.
the game came out.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so was I. I'm not. Dude, I'm literally like what, 2, maybe
2
1 year
years
younger than you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah, but see, you're in the future because you're from Australia, so
Yeah,
like
exactly.
technically you should be
Release-
ahead,
So release
and you're
days.
still behind.
Well, no, I played because I got the first Xbox that ever came out. The
Yeah,
very
the Xbox
OG.
original.
Yeah, so I got that when it first came out with Halo. I never got it with I never got Mech Warrior. I was too
I
busy.
think it was like one of the launch titles. Like it came out at the same time, but you had to buy extra. But there was only a few titles in the original Xbox. So when I
It
got the
sounds
Xbox,
fam-
I was like,
it's-
I'm just gonna get them all.
It sounds familiar, but I'm pretty sure I just got Halo, the first Halo.
Dude,
time
I
I got it.
remember in the original MechWarrior, your mechs, when you went into like areas that had like it was like a science facility or something, and there were civilians, you could like step on them, and you'd see like a burst of blood when you step on them, and I was like, this is fucked. Like, you're supposed to be the good guys. You shoot missiles and shit over their heads, and it was like they're in my brain. I was like, oh, they're safe. Like they're not in the mech fighting. And then I was like sidestepping, and I just like crushed like 4 scientists. I was
Well,
like, oh,
that's
what
what
the fuck?
happened.
Obviously, anyone who isn't on your side is an enemy. So you know,
If
civilians
they're,
are
not in-
yes.
if they're not in a mech, they're also the enemy.
they're free.
what's that line? What's that line from Full Metal Jacket? Like if they're
Mech Warrior
if they're
1 came out in 1989.
Wow,
what? No.
that's insane, dude. Have you seen Mech Warrior, the original Mech Warrior? That thing is interesting.
Oh fuck,
Yeah.
It's like,
dude.
oh, thanks Austin for the fact check.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Is he not at your house this time?
No, Nancy's not here.
Goddamn
He's,
Nancy.
He's viewing. Yeah, him. Okay, so you probably don't have the. I don't know if you watched the podcast that Austin was on.
Nancy.
But we
It's not Austin
Nancy,
anymore.
sorry, Nancy
Yeah,
was on.
I've heard the lore.
Yeah, so like Spitfire was technically the guest. I don't fucking know why.
Okay, so okay, let's go back even further. The reason Spitfire was the guest is because we were just about to start our show, right? This is like what, the second episode?
Yeah, this was like the second or third
Yeah,
one.
so he was in the channel with us. We didn't have a password on the channel, so he joined it before we had a password on it.
Ah.
And we're just like, you know what, Spit, you want to be on the show? And he's like, fine, whatever. So he came on with us, and that's how that started. And then
the
and then
degeneracy started.
we started talking, and then we figured Cooper's like, you see this goddamn Napoleon guy in the chat? He's sitting right there. Yeah, and then we're just like, if he's not on the show, tell him to shut up. No, no, it's not gonna happen.
And then, but then he comes on, and Spitfire keeps like, and we keep talking to him. And Spitfire's like, I can't remember your fucking name. I know you've said it like 12 times, but you're Nancy now.
Yeah. No, it took a while to figure out a name.
Oh yeah, we went through a few of them.
Hey Grizzly. And then yeah, we came up with Nancy, and then apparently Nancy's stuck. If you have a look at the Discord, if you ever join.
Dude, he changed his Steam name to Nancy that day. He's owning it, dude. He's owning it.
Yeah, so we had him join the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, go do it. The link will be in the description in YouTube if you're here from the future or from the whatever. His name's Nancy in there now too, and we're just like, I couldn't remember who the fuck Nancy was. he joined it. I went, I know this name.
Yeah, I know this guy.
He's that weird dude that sat in Cooper's room and sat there just playing with himself off in the corner.
He was playing that fucking game that. What was the Dark Souls, but the newish one?
Bloodborne?
Nope.
Sekiro.
It's that.
Yes,
He's
because
playing that.
he came on and talked
Oh,
about Sekiro.
Sekiro. Yeah, okay.
Because he was trying to convince Gory to buy it.
Yeah, Corey was like, I want to buy it, but I don't want to. Anyway,
You know what? I played with Gory last night.
Gory lives.
He does
Gory
live.
lives.
He does. We played Rising Storm Vietnam, and I joined the channel, like the chat channel, and all I hear is, "Is that Cooper?" I was like, "Gory?" Like, dude, yeah, we played for like a few hours last night. He's alive.
Oh, that's good news. Why isn't he here?
Yeah, you mother. He's probably lurking around.
He probably is, let's
He's
be
always
honest.
around.
He's
But,
always
like, yeah.
He just lurks.
So, Mortsy, just so you know, when this show started, there was 3 hosts,
Yes.
and after a few episodes, he ended up just life stuff, like just whatever stuff things came up, and he wanted to sort of step away for a bit. And he's as we've always said, he's always welcome to come back. We miss him, we love him.
He was trying to purge the black tar out of his soul. That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, he's like, guys, I've been drinking too much and playing too much games and staying up too late. I gotta dial this shit back a little bit. So I gotta step away for a bit.
He took a few weeks off of gaming in general.
Oh yeah,
He only just came back to gaming now.
Yeah, he said he took a while off and he was just sort of like trying to detox himself from sort of that kind of shit. So
Much stronger man than I.
Yeah.
oh yeah, me too. Fuck.
And Napoleon thinks so too. Nancy, sorry. So yeah.
It's man, because I'm like, when I was a kid, I started playing games like this is sick. So I just kept playing games, and I'm like, eventually you have to get a job. So like, let's just make it games. So I never had to stop.
Well, so my fucking I've always, I mean, Mortsy, you know this, but like, and I'm sure Viking does as well, but like I always been huge into games. Like I mean we played sports and shit. Like I did both,
I
but
never did that.
well,
That was
well,
too physical activities for me.
well, you're busy running from kangaroos and not dying from scorpions and shit. So
Yeah.
your everyday life is like fucking exercise.
Yeah, as soon as I leave the house, there's like a crocodile in the front lawn. I've got to run.
Yeah,
past it in the car.
exactly.
Then I get in the
Dude.
car and there's probably a huntsman sitting in the air conditioner, waiting to come
Dude,
in.
we got Tim's to start saying some really like Steve Irwin-esque fucking Australian shit, and it was the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But so my parents were always thinking like, all you guys are upstairs like playing games, playing Rock Band. You guys are gaming so much. Like, don't you want to like go and do shit? And we were like, no. Or like, I'd be playing online. They'd be like, well, why don't you go hang out with your friends instead of gaming with them? And I'm like, you guys don't fucking get it. So like a couple of years ago, my mom saw me on my YouTube channel. She saw me playing Doom, and she's like, that looks really cool. I want to try that. So I lent them my PS4 because I have 2 of them. So I lent them one of my PS4s and some games. They put within like I think it was like a month and a half. My mom called me and was like, just so you know, we got Dead Island, that zombie game. And she's like, yeah, I put 111 hours into that game. And she straight up was like, I apologize for telling you that this was a waste of time. I apologize for saying you guys should go outside or whatever. She's like, this is awesome. So I took it back, and that Mother's Day bought them a PS4 for Mother's Day, Father's Day gift. And they probably have like 100 plus hours in Destiny. They played the entire Dead Island franchise. Like they're in it now, but I just remember that like, yeah, so we get it now. We understand what you're talking about, and I'm sorry for talking shit.
I think I grew up lucky with my parents actually had played video games before I'd even born, so they knew it was like when I started playing it. Mum used to play Warcraft, like original.
Well, that's like
Warcraft.
Nancy's parents are like
And
that.
then-
Nancy's parents are big into games too.
Dad started playing World of Warcraft from Mum first showed him Warcraft, and then they got into it, and then I was born and they got out of it because they obviously have a kid, and then they had another kid.
That fucking asshole.
And then they had another kid.
Ruining everything.
But then when they got the first console I had was a 64 when I was old enough to actually physically play games.
Yeah.
And that's when you discover yourself in the bathroom type age.
Yeah. 4 times a day there, I think.
You know the age that I'm talking about. So we used to play that a lot, and then they went and bought then Dad saw the Xbox come out, so for Christmas he bought us the first Xbox, and me and him used to play Halo all the time, like Halo Combat Evolved together.
Oh, dope! Yeah.
So we were obviously, and then once I started we moved to a different house. The house that I'm actually in now was the house that I grew up in.
That's dope.
Yeah, so everything in this house I already know. And then we moved to a different house that they built, and we set up in one room just like we had 2 massive computers, 2 massive screens, heap of Xboxes and PlayStations and stuff.
That's sick.
Fucking awesome. And then I moved out and I took half the shit with me.
See, that fucking kid ruining everything.
So like I knew what it was like though, because I'd go to my mate's place and they'd be like, "Why are you guys always playing video games? Why don't you go outside, go down the river or something?" Because I live right next to a river, So like, why don't you go
I
swimming
mean,
or
mate's
something?
place, just go down the river. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
Viking.
And then, but like, then we'll just go back to my place and we'll just
And
play
play games
video.
there?
Yeah, we'll just, well, okay, we'll leave the house and we go back to mine and play video games with the surround sound and shit. And my parents loved it. My parents loved the fact that we got into video games. So.
Well, I remember my dad would try back before he did an effort. He tried to sort of get involved, so we would play like COD or something, but he was fucking garbage.
Yeah, my old man. Was
Dad,
like
if you're
that
seeing
too.
this, love ya. You're still you were shit. Sorry, dude. But there would be times, and I remember this so vividly. So like we would play like we'd be against each other, and of course I'd go easy or whatever. But I remember one time he had a heavy machine gun in COD 4, and he was just trigger down, fucking trying to hit me, and I was literally like running around, moving away from his shots, and I turned around and I stabbed him and killed him. My dad looks at me and goes, "What the fuck, man? Why are you stabbing me in the face?" And my mom's walking by my door and sort of stops and backs up and is like,
Huh?
"What? What the hell is going on? What did you just say?" And then we both were like, no, it's the game.
Don't worry,
Don't worry
it's
about. But I just remember that sort of like, wait, who's stabbing you? Wait, what's going on? Like, because of course he got frustrated. He's like, "Oh, why are you stabbing me in the face, dude?" Like, so for her, it sounded that urgency of like, someone's stabbing somebody. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
That's my first response. Is like, dude, what the hell?
yeah, exactly. So it was
Yeah,
good.
well, I used to wake up at like, I'd get ready for school, so I'd get up at 7. My old man used to work late nights, so he'd get home at like 7.
Right.
So I'd get up and he's playing the Xbox, like obviously trying to get better at it. Because
Right.
obviously the controllers, he wasn't used to it. He wasn't used to the
Right.
thumbsticks and stuff. Whereas for like us, we probably grew up with the thumbsticks and stuff on controllers and whatnot. So
Is that Howard in the chat?
yeah, Yarman's Tower.
Yeah.
It's our brethren from America. And yeah, so he just tried to get better at it, and then after a while, when he did get better at it, we started playing constantly and shit. And then
Well, my parents aren't, because they've had practice now. Like when I play Destiny, I'm definitely carrying for sure. Again, parents, love you with all my heart. I'm still definitely carrying, but they're far less shit, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
that I love, like I have friends on PlayStation that will play with their parents all the time. My parents obviously work way too much to have time to do it anymore. But
Right.
they used to, like, I get online and they're like, my mates are just like, "Oh, my nan's coming on with me." I'm like, "How old's your fucking nan?" This is playing like the Division. When the Division first came out, we got it on
Right.
PlayStation, and it's like, "Yeah, my nan's gonna come play Division with us," and she was like the highest level so far out of all of us, like level 30, had like level
Right.
30 in the fucking dark zone, and she's fucking like 68. And
What?
so, yeah.
Wow.
She's 68 when it came out. I'm like, holy fuck, she just like no life the shit.
I was watching one of the I was watching Burns do his stream for like the 21st,
Okay, that
the
wasn't
Rangers
just
or
was that
whatever.
just me?
and
I was
what the
gonna
whole
say,
like everything
yeah.
froze.
Yeah.
No, that was I didn't freeze, but you guys did. Did I
Oh.
freeze for you guys?
It was
Yeah.
the other way around
Yeah,
for
it
all
was-
of us.
We're just like,
Did Viking shitty Australian internet just die?
well, no, because I
So-
still had Mortsy with me, so it was actually your stream.
That was you.
It was your shitty, your Canadian shitty.
Wait a
internet.
second. I just realized something. We always have our region set to U.S. East because it's convenient for everybody, but I just realized how fucked we are right now.
Completely like thrown across.
Because
the
are
world.
you in what mountain time zone? Mortsy?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Pacific.
Oh, so you're Pacific. What is your time zone called, Viking?
ST?
Australian Eastern Standard Time. But at the moment, because it's daylight saving, it's Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay, that's far too long, dude.
Well, no,
that's
'cause
a way
you
too
got-
long of a name.
No, well, because you can't have Eastern Standard Time because there's US Eastern Standard Time is already taken. So we have to have the Australian in there because
How many times does Australia have?
We only have 3.
What the fuck? What do you mean only? You're like
big,
a
but it's
circle
not
on the
like-
bottom of the fucking planet. Who
No,
cares?
so we have the Eastern Standard
I
Time.
mean, it's a great
which is-
country that lots of great people
we have the
come
Eastern
from.
Standard Time, which is New South Wales, Victoria. Actually, I think we have 4 now because Queensland was like, I want to do my own fucking thing. Queensland doesn't have daylight savings anymore, so they're like an hour behind or something. But they're
The
on
sun doesn't change anymore.
They're just like,
no,
oh, we're
that's
done
right.
with this
They're on the
shit.
same. They're on the same coast, so they're on the Eastern Standard Time, but they don't have daylight savings. So as soon as you cross the border, there goes daylight savings.
Actually, you know what? That's a common thing. Apparently, all of Europe is not petitioning, but they're actually voting on just making daylight savings time not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and that's what Queensland did, and they went, yeah, no, we're not doing it anymore. But you have the Eastern Standard Time. I think there's Central Australian Central.
So then wouldn't it be
Standard.
like 10 o'clock when the
And
sun goes down
Western.
during the summer then?
What, here?
That's fucked though. Well, that's why
10
daylight saving
o'clock?
times works.
Fuck it goes down at fucking 6.
Because you're in the winter, you plug.
Yeah.
You're
That's
backwards.
That's daylight savings time.
Right. So if you took that
So if you take that away, it'll be fucking 5 o'clock.
right, so that makes no sense. That's what I'm saying. I'm for the time shift because the sun exposure is different. Right? Does that not make sense?
Maybe up in.
You guys are both looking at me like,
maybe,
fuck, like, say
maybe up in
something.
maybe
Say something.
maybe up in a country where the sun is always shining. Yeah, sure, but here when it's always shining but it's hot as fuck. No.
Like, what's winter there? Like, what temperature is winter?
So at the moment in my house, it's 15 degrees Celsius.
Oh, what temperature is it?
15 degrees Celsius, because we can
No,
talk.
Mortsy said something, but his
I also
voice...
said 15.
Yeah, but
I
look
called
at
it.
but
That's
look,
why I celebrated.
but
Sorry,
look at
your voice cut out, so you just went
Wow.
like...
but look at
But
but,
yeah.
but look at you compared to me. I'm all fucking got a jumper on and shit, and you're sitting there in your shirt. Because the difference is,
We're
you
Canadian.
guys are used to the cold.
Oh no, it's hot here. I was more guessing
Wait,
at what
what-
it was for you.
Well, how
Hey,
hot?
Google,
19 here in Vancouver.
What's the temperature in Vancouver?
The temperature in Vancouver right now is 21.
It says
21?
19 for me.
So for me, hang on.
Hey
where's your-
Google, what's the temperature in Ottawa?
In Ottawa right now, it's 17 degrees.
That's 17 here.
It's 11 here. at the moment.
Yikes.
Thanks,
and
Google.
it's
Hey Google. Thanks, babe.
Not a problem.
it's
Listen to this. You want to hear something fucking hilarious? Hey Google, do you want to go out with me?
I'll go anywhere you take me.
So she's down. She's down.
She's down. Okay.
Alexa, do you want to go out with me?
I like you as a friend.
Bitch. She
Why do you
friend
have
zones
both?
me. What?
Yeah, why do you have both?
I had the Amazon one first.
Okay.
But then there was a deal that you could get the Google one with a bunch of smart plugs for like basically like 70% off. So like, hey Google, turn off the living room lights, please.
Sure, turning off 2 lights.
So a lot of my lights in my house are now like automated.
Yeah,
Hey Google, can you turn the lights back on, please?
It's too dark. I'm scared.
Hey Google.
Turning
Flash
2
mob.
lights on.
So, have you seen those ones where it's like you get the lights to turn red and then like the Darth Vader theme song?
Yeah,
plays
yeah, yeah.
When you get
have
intruders
broken
in
into the wrong house.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the temperature. So yeah, the coldest it was here was actually Wednesday night. It was actually -2, which is the coldest that it's gotten this year so far.
Wow.
So, like, that for me is fucking freezing, but for you guys, it's like, oh yeah, it's just fucking.
Dude, I was on my
winter.
motorcycle yesterday because I thought it was hot as fuck, and you're here in a fucking sweater.
Well, then you get to our summertime.
Yeah, that's
That's a
What's
completely different story.
like what is it in the summer for you?
47. That was the highest this year so far was 47. Where I
That's
work, it was 65.
Huh?
Because I work in a giant fucking shed with like cookers and stuff, like hot cookers
Does your
that are like
skin fall off?
the cookers are like 120 degrees on their own, just pure.
So how are you
like-
not like? How are you not like stick thin? How have you not like just melted off everything?
Because that's the thing, I've grown up with it, so I'm used to that heat. Where you
That's
guys,
fuck,
are
dude.
used
I
to
would
the
just,
cold.
I'd become a piece of beef
Reverse
jerky in like 3
insulation.
minutes, dude.
so yeah, that's what I'm getting at is like, it might not sound
Well,
cold.
it's
here now.
relative, right?
Yeah. So
Like for us, like when it's in the winter, if it's like -10, we're like,
yeah,
whatever.
But for us, it's like fuck that. That's too cold. I'm not leaving the house.
I wore flip flops until November.
And well, he's backwards because it's summer winter. So
Okay,
November.
that's fair. Yeah. No,
So we wore
yeah.
flip flops and it was still negative temperatures, and there was
Yeah.
like, no.
Where here, if you did that, you'd get frostbite.
We get frostbite here too. We just
Yeah,
we
yeah, no,
just-
no.
it
But
just-
like at -2, you'd have frostbite from doing that because it's so fucking cold.
you guys are
Like-
pussies, dude.
God, dude, if you go down to Tasmania, it's like probably as cold as fucking Canada.
Well, because it's near Antarctica,
Yeah.
right? Or wait, is that the one on the bottom?
Yeah, Tasmania is the bottom one. It's
No,
that little line.
what's the ice thing on the bottom? Antarctica?
Yeah.
Or is Antarctica on the top?
What's
Holy shit, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Since grade 9 geography.
No, I'm pretty sure the Arctic Circle's up the north.
We don't have this answer. We are all fucking.
I'm pretty
someone
sure.
help.
I'm
I'm
pretty
already
sure.
Googling it.
I'm pretty sure.
Arctic top, Antarctic bottom. Okay. Oh my god. Nancy's like, yo, what the fuck? You guys are idiots. Oh fuck.
Why is it your Twitch name Nancy?
Yeah, Antarctica is on the bottom because there's no specific landmass at the north.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Where?
The Arctic Circle. You not?
No, that's a body of ocean.
Yeah.
No, it's an ice.
No,
Buddy.
no, there's
Pull up Google Maps right now and zoom out to look at the planet. I'm not seeing anything in the middle here.
that's just,
All right, I'm scrolling out.
Do you know people
At the
actually
top.
believe that the poles on each hand are actually connected to like the thing that holds a globe in place? There are people that actually believe that.
This is a perfect time to start the conversation of there is a real amount, probably in like the 5 or 6 digits amount of human beings in this planet that think the world is flat, there's an ice wall around it, and that Australia doesn't exist.
Yeah, they think Australia doesn't
What
exist, and that
the
someone like
fuck?
me is getting paid to say that Australia does exists.
He's been trained to use this accent specifically so that us round earthers are secure. Like, and why would we? Let's just say the world was flat. Okay, let's just go into this insanity.
So
If it was
people
flat-
doesn't believe everyone that the Earth is flat. And
So let's just say the world is flat, hypothetically. Why would we want to hide it? What's the fucking problem?
Because the government wants to control our media.
They think that there's an
That's
ice
literally
wall
the answer
around
that
the
they give.
square. There's an ice wall around the square, and it is guarded by the American government. And that
Yep.
if you go close, they'll shoot you down.
the moon is a hologram.
The moon. Like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry, but I believe that the Earth is actually carried on a turtle more than it is flat. That would make
Yeah.
total more sense.
Guys, I honestly, and this is a pure serious comment, but it's fucked. I would be more inclined to believe that this is a fucking simulation and
Yeah.
we aren't real than the Earth being flat. Idiots.
Do you know how many people you've
Idiots.
just like? How many subscribers you reckon Cooper's just lost?
Yeah.
You think my subscriber base are fucking mongoloids?
I get it.
Don't answer that, actually. Actually, you know what, Viking? I will let you answer that because I'm pretty sure our audience is very similar. So, answer, please.
Actually, no, our audience is actually, you're probably right. Most of my audience is people that I've met on VR chat. So,
Is that why they never show up?
no, they showed up. Grizzly showed up before, and then you insulted them, so they left.
How did I insult them? I love VR chat. I love them.
I'm joking. We've had a few
Like
of them.
Canadians.
We've had a few of them actually come say hi. So
That is true. That's fine. You appeal to flat Earth. We have to appeal to them. You think?
yeah,
Well,
well,
you're saying that you, as a person, appeal to flat earthers.
Be... You know what, Nancy? I want you to tell me why right now. Let me hear it. Let me
I
fucking.
don't even know how that works.
Hear it.
this episode's gonna be amazing on people that see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like,
Actually,
"Hey, I'm here for the gaming talk. We just talked about how fucking cold it is, the flat Earth. What else did we just talk about? We talked about why the
Antarctica?
fuck, why did they had Antarctica and fucking Arctic, fucking fuck.
by the way, yeah,
and
there
then,
is no landmass. By the way, I was joking.
And then
I was joking.
that's because he found it. And we also talked about why the fuck do you have a Google and the other thing? Because I'm not gonna
Alexa
say.
and
Because
I'm
you
not
have
saying,
it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not saying it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've
Feeding on
seen it.
Alexa.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I actually did. I was in VR chat and I said the name and I was talking about it, and then it just goes off and I lose me shit because I'm trying to turn it off.
Dude, okay, so see this table behind me here? Right there? Yes,
Yes.
guys, I see that. Thanks for the fucking response. This wasn't rhetorical. Jesus. Okay, so
Just assume.
Hang on. Back to Mortsy real quick. How do you do a Hadouken?
have we talked?
Punch.
We have talked Street Fighter. You just showed up late, and we talked about it for like half an hour actually.
Yeah.
So
he just asked, how do you Hadouken? So.
How do you? Oh my God! So
That's
he brings
it.
it up. So I'm sitting at this table playing euchre with a few buddies. So like Trent, Tyler, and whatever.
I love how you're
Mortsy
naming
knows these
names.
guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
He
naming
knows,
names.
and Nancy knows these names. I
Well,
think
yeah,
Nancy
exactly.
was actually there.
I don't fucking know these people.
Yeah, but you're not important. So we're sitting at that table, and one of the guys that were don't get up
Gone
again. No,
again.
don't get up again. No.
Yo, great story,
Oh.
dude.
Oh, actually, okay, we'll hit that. So we're sitting at this fucking table, and Trent loses a game of euchre, and he gets mad.
As
And he's
things,
like-
as is tradition.
Yep. So he's like, "What the fuck?" So he looks over at my device that will not say the name of, and asks it what the largest, most expensive dildo is. And it starts giving all the information. Like, it starts reading the fucking Wikipedia page. And Viking.
Oh, this conversation is for the 149 other accounts that are subscribed that are made by his mum, dad, and friends.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I say 149 because 151 of them is actually me. So.
So a buddy lost a game of euchre and then said the name of the device that we're not going to say the name of that you also own, and asked it what the biggest, most expensive dildo was, and it Googled it and then started reading it off as we're trying to play euchre, and I'm trying to tell it to shut up, and it won't, and it's just going through the pricing, the size, the accessories, all this shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I couldn't turn it off. It was fucked.
Exactly
But-
why that video was so funny, because it's me trying to turn it off and it's not working.
But we have a better question that we didn't ask when you came back, because you've gotten up like twice now. Your chair is scuffed as fuck. Why are you sitting in a dining room chair with this pad strapped to it?
Well, for starters, my chair busted, which is fucking shit. The reason the padding is on the dining room chair is because I haven't bought a new one, and I put the padding on there because this chair is fucking uncomfortable. It also has a pillow on it to make it even more comfortable. So it's,
Okay, so the chair's busted. Because we were like, what?
no,
'cause I
the
was
chair. The
sent-
chair's not busted. It's just it's very uncomfortable. Like it's.
But I've seen the chair, and I was like, I know he owns one. I've seen it.
Yes.
Why is he using this shitty
That
fucking
chair busts. So if I sit back in that chair, I'm actually like this. Like fucking, it doesn't. The bolt doesn't lock properly on it. So I put this there so I can actually sit straight. Because my back was getting
Good call.
fucked. And then I actually have two chairs. One of them broke because a bolt fell out of the side arm. It's the arm.
Yep.
So you're leaning, and then you're just sitting. So yeah. Anyway,
So I think we can move into a real topic here for
can
a
we
second.
talk about actual?
great tangent.
Can we just talk about video games now?
Yes,
Where were we before?
So we're going to talk about something that was announced this week that is going to be a big deal possibly, and could be just a fucking bomb. We're going to talk about Call of Duty.
You mean?
We're going to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare Asterisk 4. Although it's just called Modern Warfare.
Like, yeah, so why did they call it Modern Warfare when they've already
And I'm going
got
to get to that after we watch the trailer. I do have an answer for
We're gonna
this.
watch the trailer.
But we're going to watch the trailer. So set up the thing.
I didn't know we were going to watch it, so I didn't set it up because...
Oh, you're such a scrub, dude.
Wait, I didn't know we were going to watch it. Anyway, I'll do this and you...
Oh, by the way, Nancy, you did not win every euchre game that day. Fuck you.
Yeah, Nancy, we love you.
Sort of. I have stuff to talk about Call of Duty, actually. Oh, or you can yell at me. What's up?
No, sorry. Because if you ever watch Together, it plays a video as soon as you make a channel for it. And the first thing, it started playing Jack Sparrow by fucking...
And you were about to bring up Sea of Thieves, weren't you?
No.
Don't do it.
No, it's a
Don't
song.
even
It's a
speak
song.
its name.
It's a song. It's
Oh, the Lonely Island Jack
Yeah,
Sparrow
that's
song.
it. Yeah. It started playing that. I was like, oh fuck, turn that shit off. It's a good
Thanks,
song. but-
copyright.
Yeah, and demonetized.
Does that matter to Twitch? Like, would the VOD get striked for that?
So the VOD will get striked for it, and it will mute.
Does it mute that
part.
section?
Yeah.
See, Mortsy, that's what I was telling you, that if you have songs like that, if they're loud enough and they get claimed, it'll mute that entire section of
Yeah. I
Because
saw.
he just had like music playing in the background. I'm like, you might want to watch out, man.
Yeah, I haven't actually gone back on any of the VODs. I'll double check and then see if.
Actually, you know,
Songs.
while he's setting up this Call of Duty thing, talk about that for a second. Again, you are the sort of special guest. You've started streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
We'll put the link to your Twitch as well as anything else you want will be in the description down below. We'll talk about that when we ramp down later. But he's been starting to, because he's now sort of joined the pro circuit per se. He's
Right.
or at least the entrance of the pro circuit. He's trying to fight his way in. Technically, you did. It's just you're placing basically.
I didn't. I was a single. If I had won one more set, I would have gotten points on the pro tour.
So, anyways, you're close. You're basically there. And for the sake of argument, the pro circuit.
Yeah.
So when you're at that level, you need to practice and shit. And you also need to go on to competitive matches and beat the shit out of people and be good.
Right.
So what he's done is instead of just sitting in his danky ass room over there and just sit in the dark and fucking do it himself with Cheetos and fucking Mountain Dew sitting beside him.
Set up a great profile here.
Well,
it's funny because it's true.
Let me just hide my Cheetos.
Yeah, he's like, so what he's done instead is he's decided to stream that, and it builds sort of that community around that practice. So one, he can't be that scrubby individual that I just described because people can see him, which is better for his self-image and him as a human being to not be that degenerate. So he's a real person still, and he told us right before the stream started that what just happened.
I'm affiliate now.
He just got his Twitch affiliate.
Yeah,
so that's dope. Congratulations. He just set it up, I think. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I literally just finished setting it up.
Well, it was right before the stream, so I wanted to. I know we talked about a bunch of your stuff already, but we didn't talk about that specifically. So again, the links are gonna be in the description down below. I'm gonna say that later, and this is for YouTube. You Twitch guys sucks to suck. But yeah, so you do Twitch stuff. Is the watch together already? Oh, there it is. It's in the chat.
Okay, so yeah, and I'm not super sure. I'm kind of just playing Street Fighter right now because that's kind of where my clout is.
It's a good idea, no, trust me. Just literally all I do for Twitch is I just stream whatever the fuck I'm playing. Like I just.
I might just. I'm probably gonna be down to start playing like. I was thinking of playing auto chess, which has been super fun. As
What the fuck is auto chess?
Dota auto chess.
Chess.
It's
chess, like Bishop
no.
Q9 or whatever.
It's like a custom game mode in Dota 2 that you can play in the arcade, and it's grown in popularity pretty hard, and it's super fun.
You wanted an explanation of what chess was. I told you what chess was.
So I thought he said chest. Fuck.
No, auto chess. It's called auto chess.
Wait, is that sort of like that Pokemon game where like you sort of set everything up ahead of time and then it just runs?
Yes, that is exactly what I've heard that it is. I've never played that game, so I've only played auto chess, but it's that with Dota.
Yeah,
well, wait, time the fuck out. I gotta ask a question about that, because what the fuck? Wouldn't that be the same game every time? If you're not making any moves yourself?
No, because it's like a deck building game because you're creating your team, right?
Chess?
As it goes. What do you mean?
He's confused because of the chess part.
Yeah, it takes place on a chessboard, and then the pieces do their shit, and then.
Oh, so it's not like actual chess?
Oh God, no.
Well, fuck me for thinking it was chess, you fuckwads.
It's a good misunderstanding because it does make sense. Like you would think auto chess.
So you pick like your pieces are different pieces and shit, and they do different stuff. And
so the individual pieces have abilities, and they're based off of the Dota heroes. Yeah. So and then and they all have different synergies based on their rate. Class.
I totally get it now. Totally makes complete sense.
We're good.
Okay.
Excellent.
It was just Viking fucked me up.
Yep. I know.
Welcome.
Too. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Literally
so, Call of Duty, right?
Yes, dude. The fact that this has...
I'm just gonna shut up.
After the trailer.
I'm just gonna shut up now.
Okay, we gotta watch this shit. But it's not on the stream, so you might want to fix that Viking. Good
Mate,
job. Oh my god, you suck.
You were talking about auto chess. I didn't want to put it up on the stream. This is what it's like half an hour before we start. By the way, it sounds just completely.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. See, you got a little glimpse of this, but every single time it's always like because I think we explained it to Reaver, I think, where we kind of have like very vague things that we kind of want to talk about and little things that we're going to touch on.
You have a plan.
Well, no, we don't.
No,
We have we have topics in a complete unorganized order, and we try and hit those topics. But it's generally like only like 2 or 3 things. So we have like half an hour of like actual time, and then like an hour and a half of just bullshit. So we end up at the beginning kind of, and we do this every time, but we always are like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do?
One day,
and we scramble at the beginning, but it always works out. I don't know.
One day we're gonna get a manager, and he's gonna be like, "You have to talk about this topic, otherwise you're not getting paid." That's the future. Not really.
Oh, and
That would be better, dude. If we had a guy being like, "You got to talk about A, B, C, and D," and we sponsor A and B, I'd be like, "Thank you, fuck, thank the Lord, man." See, it's good, but that's why I think and I think that and as it's going, I still think, though it's a little dysfunctional, I think we're hitting a lot of topics. I think this is good, but I think the ones with Reaver and Dagger were probably some of our most organized ones, because we didn't want to be so kerfuffled, so we kind of had a lot more lined out, and it went well. So we are capable of doing it.
We just go half an hour before the show. We just go, so what are we going to talk about? 10 minutes before the show, we still don't know what we're talking about.
Which is hilarious because we have a fucking chat for it.
1 minute after the show, Cooper's like, okay, I finally finished tweeting everything out because I take fucking forever and have to put 20 fucking hashtags and taglines in it.
It's so hard.
And then
putting like, hey, I'm going live in 8 different places.
And then we go start, and then we just go, now what are we talking about?
Joke's on you. I copy the tags from last time and then add like 1 or 2 at the end.
Anyway.
So Call of Duty. Let's watch this trailer.
So we got. So when did this?
That's on the stream.
When did this get this announced?
2
Earlier
days
this week,
ago.
yeah?
I think 2 or 3 days ago is my guess. No, I'm at youtube.com. My browser had a stroke.
YouTube.
Wait, the video is in the thing, dude. 1 second. I hate you guys.
What?
I mean, I love you so much.
What? What are you talking about?
May 30th. What day of the week was that?
That was Thursday.
So 2 days ago. God damn, I'm smart. Okay. Yeah.
Good,
so
good
2
guess.
days ago. 2 days ago, it was rumored that it was going to be the new Modern Warfare game, and they kind of, as far as I'm aware, kind of just randomly dropped this. I was presuming that they were going to drop it at their own panel. There was a Call of Duty panel at E3. And I assumed that we were going to hear about it then, and then all of a sudden they're like, by the way, here's a 2-minute trailer for fucking new Call of Duty. Bam.
Wait, E3, is that like
That's
days?
This month or
No,
next
it's
month?
in like it's
Okay.
in June, right? June 10th?
It is
We're
June.
in June,
It
dude.
is June.
What?
It
The
is
first
June.
today.
It's the first for you. It's the second for me.
Kidding. So it's in like 10 days, I think. 10
Okay,
9
and
days?
the best part, there's a Pokemon Direct on the.
What the fuck? What are you, like 4?
Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
Look,
No, I'm just, you know what? I just said that just to trigger you and other people. Full discussion, anyone watching this,
dude,
Pokemon is
Coop,
great.
Shut up.
Do not
Stop.
watch our
We're gonna
content,
tell-
please.
Coop, we're sitting here waiting to watch this fucking trailer, and you
Yeah,
stop
let's watch
fucking
the trailer.
talking. God damn it!
Commence.
You can click play whenever you feel like. This might help.
The rules have changed.
What?
Audio.
Oh, Jesus.
Isn't this just
There's
Ghost
a fine
Recon?
line
What?
between right and wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was at first.
And somewhere in the shadows,
It totally looks like a Ghost
Send
Recon
us
fucking
into fire.
trailer.
Yeah, but then you see that hat and the
Once you
cigar
get
and you
Jack
fucking start chubbing up.
The main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6, going dark.
I don't, because that's like, I don't think that's the same voice actor.
I never played Modern Warfare before.
Huh?
Either.
How good does this look?
Chemical weapons are now in the wild.
Get to safety, go!
But the ending, though.
Who's your team?
Some old comrades.
Ooh.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
okay, so I'm gonna say something, Vike.
That's the first time I've seen it.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you something that has been rumored that might make you more enticed on this game. So one, Modern Warfare, because I'm actually a big anti Call of Duty person. I really don't. They churn it out. They use the same fucking assets.
The only
don't
series
like
I
it.
like is the campaign for Modern Warfare. That was it.
Right. So I think it's
And Black
kind
Ops.
of cancer.
Black Ops was a good campaign
Right, sure.
early too.
Yeah. So I think that the community is super toxic. The online multiplayer is kind of shit. I'm not a big propriety on it, and the fact that they're just churning them out and using a lot of the same assets really pisses me off, especially when it's like a full release game. Now, and it's Activision, so they do the shit where there's like so much pay to whatever. Okay, so I have some things that you guys may or may not know, but the first thing, there is no paid DLC in this game. Everything is free. Every map pack, every extra weapon, everything is free. There's no loot boxes, there's no season pass. There's none of that toxic bullshit that everyone hates. Fuck, what was the third thing? Crossplay. PC, Xbox, and PS4, it's completely
Biggest
cross-platform.
Biggest
So,
thing.
now, I see Vikings still not very convinced because it's Call of Duty, but I'm going to tell you
The
something
only-
that is
no.
a rumor.
The only thing
Continue
that,
with what you're saying.
The only thing that I ever do with Call of Duty is just play the campaign. I don't touch the multiplayer at all.
Sure.
That's why I'm sitting there going, all this stuff doesn't mean shit to me.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you something that may. The rumor mill, and I'm not sure how true this is, but so far a lot of the rumors that I've led up to this point have been true, is that for this Call of Duty, they're sort of moving away from that, like, what's that director's name there? The Michael Bay-esque, like, I mean, it's going to be a bombastic thing, but moving away from that, and it's actually going to be more akin to Battlefield or Arma. They're actually going to have ordnance different things. They're going to have, like, it's going to be more realistic, and they're going to be more, I don't know the word, because it's not Arma, because Arma is a fucking mill sim. It's not that intense, but it's going to be more than what it is.
You define Armor wrong. It's more of a sandbox game that you could do anything with.
Sure, but would everybody use it for?
Mill sim, casual gameplay, life.
I guess life. They do a lot of life shit too. But you know what I mean, right? Like I'm talking about like weapon-wise. Like there's a huge attention to realism and detail based on round velocities and all that kind of bullshit.
Is that what
Whereas
they're
in Call
trying
of
to
Duty
do?
they don't.
Yeah, no, Call of Duty was just whatever you're pointing at is what it's shooting at.
Right. Well, what the rumor is that they're moving to a lot more realism when it comes to the gunplay.
They won't. The reason I say they won't is because then they'll absolutely annoy their fan base with it. All the people that love their multiplayer.
But does anybody love their multiplayer?
A lot of people love their multiplayer. A lot of people play it professionally for their multiplayer. They will lose their shit if they go too realistic. And they won't, if they go for it, they won't. For me, that sounds great. It sounds great. I love that stuff. And it sounds like that stuff that you're talking about won't be in the campaign. Because the campaign is just one straight story. They've always got the same things. There's nothing. No, you can't do something different in the campaign from the last time.
What's a linear shooter?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So doing the realistic side of things just doesn't make any sense. And like for me, the campaign will be a 6-hour gameplay, I reckon.
Yeah,
And
so $10 an hour for your fucking.
And everything will be based on multiplayer because that's where their big seller is that multiplayer side of things. So like the trailer looks great because it's gonna be.
I was going to say, all of that aside, you can't deny how gorgeous it looked.
I never go off what the reveal trailer shows. I never go off what the E3.
No, and I doubt it's going to look that good.
No, because that's right. And then even then, if you get it on your PC, your Xbox, your PlayStation, it's going to look completely different. That's why I never ever go off them. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. But that's not what it's going to look like to me on my screen. That's just a big thing when it comes to games that are coming out. The only game that ever looked like it does on the screen was Sea of Thieves. Now, we won't talk about it, but That's the only game that I ever just played, and that's what it looks like.
Oh, I want to talk about it.
Like, no. When the trailer came out for it, and then we played it, it's exactly the same. There was like hardly any difference. When you play Call of Duty, they change a heap because obviously they want to make
Every
it look
Ubisoft game ever.
Yeah, they want to make it look really good, but then they a year down the track they're like, oh, we actually need it to actually work on certain computers and Xboxes. So
Well, that's a big thing. Like, I was talking to somebody. I think I was talking in the Armanet Discord. I think it was Armanet. And Mortsy, you can probably have a bigger input on this because you work in the game development industry. But like, the amount of realism and detail that can be made in a game is far surpassed what can be played. Like, you can make like every single blade of grass a completely different thing, and you can make like it's so realistic that you can zoom into the fucking pores on every character's face, but a computer would literally catch on fire trying to play it. The limitations is the hardware, not the software.
And
Is that a fair statement?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Another part of that would be the end, which has been that's another one of the rumors that has been that the game is.
Is it just me or does it keep cutting out?
Yeah, you keep cutting in and out.
You're not talking loud enough into your mic.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Let me just scream so the world may hear me. Am I still cutting out?
No, you're good now.
Perfect.
It was because the TeamSpeak was too not sensitive for you.
Okay. So
Use your big boy voice.
one of the things that people have been the rumor is that the engine is completely new as well.
Yeah.
So they're not just doing it within the same engine. It's going to be a completely new one, which is why the trailer looked as it did, because they're able to upgrade like the way their rendering system and such, and everything is going to be PBR, which is physics-based rendering. So it's a completely new graphics basically, and apparently their workflow has been prioritizing optimization. A lot of the times what you do as a company and as an artist is we make all these assets, put them in the game. Oh, it's running like shit. Okay, everything's already done. We'll do an optimization pass.
And
So-
that's where your 50
And that's where you
That's
downgrade it to
download.
be able to be run.
Down, kind of. You cut corners graphically to improve performance. Whether that's it's kind of stuff like when I don't know if you've seen that GIF of the Horizon Zero Dawn where she's looking around and it's literally just a triangle of
yes.
rendering.
Technically, out of this view, nothing exists.
Yeah,
It
there's
only
nothing exists, despite the fact that like you turn and it just starts rendering as you turn. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really dope.
But
There's the
it's stuff.
COD won't be able to put that stuff in because they need, obviously, they're going to have all these enemy around you. You can't just have it pop in at the second that you look at it.
They
Hypothetically, you
exist
could
there.
though.
No, that's the thing is that they exist. They always exist. They're not
Yeah.
graphically. They're not rendered. They're not there until you look at them. But they're always there.
Well, it's just weird to think of that whole thing, like, because I remember when, and this is what I was saying when I was talking to people in the Discord, is like, I remember when game developers literally had a switch where they're like, look, we can get so detailed on a character, we can't just make them up anymore. We have to kind of like somehow base them on like an actual person or like an event, or like we can't just make this shit up anymore because our imaginations aren't detailed enough that we can get into.
And
You know what I mean? Like
what's the last character that you ever got physically attached to lately in a game?
Honestly,
I haven't played any games, narrative-based games.
okay, so
Time.
I just literally yesterday started playing this new game called Blood and Trust. It's a new PSVR game, and it's like a. Do you ever play the London Heist? No,
I remember
no,
you playing it.
Right. So when the PSVR came out, it was like a 1 hour sort of like underground London fucking grimy mafia shit thing, but it looked really good and played really, really well. And that company basically made a full-length VR game, and that's that game. And the brother of your main character in that game is really awesome. And while I was playing it yesterday, and there are videos that are going to come out on my channel. But I remember being like, "Fuck, if he dies, it's going to suck." But I don't know if that's really attachment because like when I think of it that way, I think of like Clementine from The Walking Dead, where like
Yeah,
dude,
where you play as a character through the whole game and you feel really attached to it. That when something tragic happens to that character, you feel tragic about what that happened.
there are two
Especially-
games that have really had an impact like that.
There's quite a few for me. There was Red Dead Redemption 2. That was,
Oh yeah,
because obviously, and God of War. Those are the most recent games that I can think of that you feel really attached to the characters in those. And like
and then there's The Last of Us
The
at the
Last
very
of Us,
beginning
but when
with
did
Gut
that-
Punch.
when that came out. That was a while ago now. But like
But
going,
that's more of a narrative thing. It's
Yeah,
not
but then
necessarily
when you
a
go-
graphical thing,
but
is
then when you
No,
go,
no, we've moved. We're
Yeah.
diverted.
Okay, we're
So what I'm going back to is the first character that I felt like I was actually attached to was in fact Soap and Captain Price and all and
Dude.
Gaz and stuff. Well, Gaz, yeah, that was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the first characters I felt like, but then when you play all the other, I don't remember any of the other COD characters, other than Yuri, because obviously he was there for.
Menendez is a character in Black Ops somewhere.
Yeah, he was the Black Ops
He
bad
exists.
guy. There was the other guy.
I just
that-
remember because the meme where they yell.
Hey,
I remember.
Mason.
I-
Mason, that's the guy's name.
But you don't remember in the first game. You don't remember playing as the Army Ranger. Because
The one that gets nuked?
yeah, you
Well-
remember. No, you remember the nuking part, but you don't remember. Do you remember his name?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but could you
He
remember?
was a set piece, though. He was
Yeah.
a placeholder for an event, right?
Yeah, but like that's what I'm getting at. Like they make games companies for me. They focus on these characters, right? These big characters like Soap, Gaz, Captain Price. Obviously, you played as Soap in the first one, but in the first one, you were like, okay, my name's Soap McTavish. It's like it wasn't that big of a deal. But then they made the second one, and you weren't playing as Soap anymore. Your Soap was an actual character there,
Right.
which made you feel more attached to him.
And you knew what he had gone through because you were him.
Yeah, but then when you go to say Advanced Warfare or whatever the next one, I don't remember the characters.
Never played it.
I don't remember anyone. I don't remember anyone from Ghosts.
You played Ghosts?
Yeah, I played Ghosts because I like the Call of Duty storylines. Okay, but the Ghost was
I
obviously.
stopped playing a Modern Warfare 3, dude. I couldn't do it anymore.
The only thing I loved about Ghost was the dog. Because obviously the dog was actually a beast. He would fucking maul people to death.
Which is great, but the game sucked.
Yeah.
Wieners.
But like the way that they did the dog was really cool because they actually motion captured the dog, a real dog in real life, and
Which is
put it in
great,
the
but I'll
game.
just play that. What's that game? Dead to Rights. You
Yeah.
ever play that game?
Yeah.
Dude, that no dog beats that
Did
dog.
anyone notice that the guy that played Kit Harington that plays Jon Snow in Game of Thrones was actually a bad guy in one of the Call of Duty games?
Yep, he was in Advanced Warfighter 2.
I think so. It was number 2. But do you remember any of his lines or anything that was? So
No, like Kevin Spacey was a bad guy in the first.
but you can remember.
Advanced Warfighter.
But you can remember. I can remember Knife the Watermelon, any day of the
Yeah.
I could, because that was just something like you do in the training, and then he's just like, okay, knife the watermelon. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then,
Yep.
I can remember some. I can't off the top of my head. I can't say, but I can remember how the mission was when you're in the ghillie. I can't.
Yep.
I
All
haven't.
gillied up.
I haven't felt a mission in a game from Call of Duty since those days. Like
No.
Even no Russian.
yeah, even
Yeah,
though
but that
Russian.
was Modern Warfare.
No. That's what I'm getting at. Like, there are certain missions where you feel like you're connected to those characters, and like No Russian, I feel connected to that character. You only play him as one episode, but this dude who's undercover as this Russian dude has to go into an airport and shoot all these fucking civilians. You're like, holy fuck! Like when you first do it, like that. Even you don't even know I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember that whole mission.
Yuri?
There was just certain line. No, Yuri was another dude.
I'm wondering whether he's talking about because I haven't. When I said I haven't mentioned any or I haven't played any narrative-based games, and he's wondering if there's any characters I've been attached to. Pointing at Jury from Street. That was my guess.
Yeah, but you're a Street Fighter Pro. Calm down.
Yeah.
But
Branch
more
away,
sit
man.
the-
because
sit
I'm
the
attached
fuck
to
down.
characters with my penis.
Wait, what did you just say?
Because I haven't been. I'm attached to the characters with my penis as opposed to with my emotions.
Right. You're not like I really care what
Yeah,
happens to
see?
you. You're like, I see you in a skirt and it's nice.
It's just like
Jesus.
I don't remember, like, same with COD, not COD, same with Battlefield. Since Bad Company, I haven't been able to attach to any of the
That company was
characters.
really good with the narrative. Like the game was like pretty good, but like the narrative was so good.
The narrative for Gallipoli and Battlefield 1 was really nice. It was about,
Yeah, it was.
because you
Oh
remember,
yeah, this is where his brother dies and shit.
yeah, and like
That
he's-
was sad, dude. I
you-
remember
you go-
putting the controller down and feeling
you
bad.
go
Like, I was
capture
like,
you go
fuck.
capture a castle, and then he calls in as they're all retreating, he calls in the artillery strike from the ships on himself. Like, I remember that clear as day, but I can't remember any other fucking mission. So
Yeah,
I'm
he's like
so
telling
what I'm
his
getting at is, like,
daughter and shit.
the
Yeah.
companies these days are focusing a lot on these characters and these lines for these characters, but I can't remember shit from some of the other characters that they focus on. If COD had just gone kept doing Modern Warfare, it would have turned to shit. But it looks like with this Modern Warfare we're looking at, it's before soap.
Or
Because that-
notably after.
Because no, that Captain Price looks younger.
Maybe.
He looks
Maybe.
he looks way younger than when he was in the first COD.
That's possible.
Because if you have a look, I'll have a look at it here.
But to be on the same sort of emotional strain, you guys both played The Walking Dead Telltale, right?
Oh yeah.
Mortsy, you didn't play that game?
Sorry, dude.
I am a man, okay? I am
Yeah.
a man who is I like dude shit as much as the next guy. I am not even close to ashamed, and I'm almost like, well, say it from the fucking rooftops, that at the end of the last episode of season 1 of The Walking Dead, I sobbed like a fucking child. That was so... They did such an amazing job attaching to these characters and then just tearing everything away from you and making you feel just fucking horrible, which sounds weird because it's like a form of media that you're paying to play and it makes you feel like a knot and terrible on the inside, but the impact, it's like when you watch like a sad movie or something.
It's just eliciting an emotional response.
But a really, really like they did such a good job. I remember being N-words and being like literally as I was upset, I was like, I've never been hit like this before. Like they've finally hit the point where games are so immersive and so there that they can actually elicit that response that like a movie can, which is good. But it's a weird thing that now we're able to do that. And then same thing when he was talking about that level in Battlefield. I remember at the end of the level where he's talking to like his granddaughter or whatever, and he's like, you know, like many men, whatever, if I would trade places with my brother any day, like I found him there, but even though I found him, I couldn't bring him back.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, man, like that hits hard. Like that's deep, man. That makes me sad. Like it's a
Now-
real thing.
I remember when we were watching that trailer and you said, "Watch this, you're about to get a chub," and Captain Price turns his head.
Yep.
The reason I didn't was because it's actually a new voice actor.
I know.
And that was like, I know what Captain Price sounds like.
Yeah,
And
I know.
I couldn't remember the actor's name, so I looked it up. His name was Billy Murray, the guy that played the first ever Captain Price, and he played all 3 Modern Warfare games for Captain Price. But
Yep.
this one is portrayed by Barry Sloane, who is on...
Fake name.
He was best known on this side of the Atlantic for his role as Hollyoaks serial killer Neil Rafferty. Also starred in Shameless and the History of Channel 6, based on the operation of U.S. counterterrorism. So
He's like an actual dude.
yeah, Barry Sloane. Yeah,
As opposed
he's
to-
he's an actor. He's an actor. He's a British actor.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Billy Murray was also another actor, but when he first said something, I was like, "That's not Price." And
Right.
like, I had a photo here of the two of them, so I just wanted to get a still photo of him, but it's hard to find a still photo. So that's actually not a very good one. Actually, it is pretty decent. So if we do that one and that one. I'll get it up on the stream in a second. You guys will see what I'm talking about.
Although, so I had a very similar thing that you just talked about. So you guys know The Witcher, right?
Oh yeah.
Haven't played it.
You're fucked. So
Can you play anything
so-
other than Street Fighter for a minute, please?
a rock band. So
I don't have drums here,
Alright,
dude.
alright.
the voice actor for Geralt from The Witcher he's been in all the games.
Yeah.
and I didn't know who it was, but I just looked it up, and this is weird. Now there is a special event going on in Monster Hunter World, where they
Where
bring
he
in a lot,
shows
and
up.
that happens a lot where they bring people in, like they've
Well,
had.
they
like,
had a Street Fighter event.
They
at one-
did, which is a good
With Sakura
segue
and
into
Ryu.
this. Yeah. So they had a Street Fighter event, and they had a bunch of different shit where other characters come in, and then they somehow like make it fit into the story somehow, but it doesn't really matter. But they do. Well, they're having an event right now where Geralt actually comes into Monster Hunter World, and you actually play as him doing an investigation of another creature from the Witcher world that sort of come into the Monster Hunter world, and you play it very similar to like you do in the Witcher, where like you interrogate people and talk to people, and there's voice lines, which isn't generally Monster Hunter. But Henry Cavill, fucking Superman, voices him in the Monster Hunter thing.
Yeah, because he's playing him in the that was the idea. It was him.
It's the tie-in,
voicing it
right? It's
because he's playing as him in the is it the Netflix?
Yep, it's
show?
Netflix.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the Netflix series of.
But it's just weird because as soon as he came on, I was like, I know that voice, but it's not the voice originally of him in The Witcher, and then I just looked it up and it was like, oh, it is him, and now it all makes sense. But it was another thing where I was kind of like, I love Geralt and I love the entire Witcher series, and as soon as I heard him talk, I was like, but it was close enough that I think in the Netflix series, if they don't fuck it up like they fuck everything up, I'll be okay. Dude, did you see the Death Note Netflix thing?
I
I avoided
prevented
it,
myself from
like,
watching it.
I have seen it, and I'm telling you guys right now that your life is like a multiple better because you didn't watch it.
Alright, so before we go off topic, remember how I was saying it looks like it's a younger version? So, this is, I'll get it up on the screen. This is a still photo of obviously the video we just watched of Captain Price.
Okay, can you fucking put it in Photoshop and brighten it up or do like literally anything to that?
Literally just on the website, it's just on Google. I wish I could. And like, but it's the best way to look at it is because then you got this one, which is obviously the
Yeah, zoom that shit in.
that's the remastered version of Captain Price.
Look at the
there.
porn stash, hell yeah.
Yeah, so you look at the difference though. I reckon he looks a bit older in this one than he does in this one. He looks, and then when you go through, it's hard to tell because of the coloring. But
You know what?
That's actually
Does he have a full beard in that one?
yes, he does because there's actually a part in there's a part in that trailer when he shows up and he has the full beard going on.
You know what my thought is? My hypothesis, now that you've done this, is they actually look sort of similar age. My guess is this is a direct prequel.
It will be. I reckon it's before. I reckon it's before all this happened.
That's what I mean. Like it's going to be a prequel to
Yeah.
Modern Warfare
That's what-
1,
that's
but
what
not,
I'm trying to
not
get at
very
is-
far
So-
ahead.
They're gonna
I
do
reckon-
this whole thing. You're gonna play as some unnamed soldier at the very end. They're gonna hand him his tags or some shit, and it's just gonna have soap on
Yeah.
it or something.
That would be-
That would
that would be
predictions.
sick, though.
That would actually be
You guys heard it here first on the UnderClocked podcast. We have now just
Predicted.
defunct the Modern Warfare 4 ending. Is passing is soap, or it'll be like them in the
Just
office
like a
looking at
reveal of
recruits.
some kind.
He'll be like looking at recruits, and he'll be like looking at files, and then you'll see soaps, and he'll be like, what
Yeah.
about this one? And then that'll be it. And you're like,
it will be the line that everyone remembers. What the hell kind of name is soap?
oh,
Yeah.
that would be it, dude. To be like, yes. What the hell kind of a name is
Yeah.
soap? And then it'll just like black screen. And you'll be like, nostalgia.
It seems to be their goal this time around. They've really strayed really far from like their initial popularity of Modern Warfare,
Which is why I think they might be doing that sort of tilt that's being rumored, because I think they're trying to reinvent themselves. Because as much as you're saying they'd alienate their fan base and there'd be a lot of shit, if you actually look at the Call of Duty popularity, it's actually been declining, and it had a steady shoot back up for Black Ops 4, but then it dropped back down steadily. So they're actually on a decline. So I think what they're trying to do is right that ship.
Apparently they're not going to have the pick 10, and I know that's multiplayer only, but that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's one of the big
Yeah.
things. I'm like, one of the
Oh,
other
no,
things
it
they
doesn't-
mentioned mechanically is no mini map.
Yeah, because they're trying to go to this more authentic thing, and I think that is going to make a big difference, at least for me, because I don't like feeling like I'm in a fucking Michael Bay movie with like fucking nukes going off around me and shit.
Or specialists. that's also huge. That would be like just a return to the tradition. If they can create Modern Warfare 2, down.
Wow,
I'm
that
so
sounded
down,
stupid.
dude.
That sounded stupid, but I get
It
what you mean.
did. It
Without
sounded
the new tube,
ridiculous.
take the new tube out though. That shit's AIDS. We don't want
So,
that.
oh well, duh. Obviously, there's stuff that you know, but just the feel of the game, the design of the maps. I think Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare and the original memorable multiplayer maps. Any shooter.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got another one. So there's a still at the end. We didn't actually see it properly. There's a still at the end of the trailer itself.
Where am I looking
Where
for this?
on the stream would do. There's
Yeah, he's got
actually
the full
Oh,
beard.
where
I'm
fuck.
assuming
he
that's
has-
him.
Yeah, that's him because it doesn't have the beard there. So this is like that's the character in the game. That's gonna
You
be.
think we're gonna play as him this game?
I don't know. I kind of hope
Question.
not. I kind of hope not because obviously
He's always been that mentor sort of
Yeah.
like leader character.
I want to play as someone different, and like that character may die at the end of this one, and then obviously
Napoleon brought up something interesting on whether or not this is just a straight up reboot.
that might,
Opposed to
there was a scene
Oh.
there was a scene there where they were in the desert, like where was it? There was a hang on, it's this part here. I'll put it back up.
yeah, with the where they do the
That
bombing.
would be
Yeah,
interesting.
so
bombing
there's
run.
a part here just after the British attack, because there's a part here because these are British police officers, and that looks like someone that you're going to play as. These are all, so this is somewhere in Britain, I reckon, because of that car, if you have a look closely. Well, you can tell because that's a car that you would recognize as a police car in Britain, or the United Kingdom at least.
Time out.
But
Straight from who is this? Infinity Ward's head Dave Stoll told ING, yes, this is a reboot of the 2007 classic Call of Duty 4, not a remake, prequel, or a remaster or change of Modern Warfare 4. Will be released on the October 25th. This project will be different than any of the games we've previously made. It is a new direction and a reboot for the series and franchise.
right, so it is
Are
a,
gonna try and
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a reboot, and I think they're going to try and be more authentic. I think they're going to try and be more realistic, and I think they're going to be changing their direction because they're on a downhill. The Call of Duty bubble is going away. People are, there's fatigue, franchise fatigue. Nobody gives a shit anymore.
I think I liked our idea of it being a prequel to the first one. I like that idea more.
Well, sure, well, then let's make it.
But
Like-
this means that one of these things, ideally, they don't fuck it up. But because
They
if
will.
they fuck it up, it'll be worse than if this was a prequel or anything. But we have characters. We have established characters, like you mentioned, that we care about. So Price and Ghost.
Yeah,
I
I remember Ghost.
that
Soap.
and
All
now
these characters are going to come back, I
they're
guess.
back. And if the issue is that they have to do it very carefully. Because if they fuck this up and ruin these characters that
From
everyone
2007 that
already
I
loves,
love. Yeah.
you're fucked, dude. But they have access to them now due to this being a reboot of I imagine the entire narrative itself. Apparently, it's also going to be a focus on like terrorism and stuff.
It does because there's a part in that scene where there's actually obviously an eye like. If for us, Cooper, it would be better to just call them IDAP because of Armor 3.
Yep.
It's a what are they called?
Peacekeepers, sort of.
Peacekeeping force. Not a peacekeeping force. It's an
It is a
organization that goes
peacekeeping
and
corps.
helps.
They're
goes
called
and-
a peacekeeping corps. Canada has like a shitload of them. We're known for them.
Yeah,
So we're the
so
peacekeeping
the
corps.
people that just go into a war zone and like rescue people from like burnt out
Yeah,
buildings. And
they're not soldiers. They're there to like give aid and stuff.
I can't remember the actual word for them, and it pisses me off that I
Yeah.
can't. But there's a scene there where there's all these guys in like the white helmets and like there's all these
That
civilians
might be the nuke going off.
and they're picking people up out of stretchers and stuff. It's
Humanitarian worker, by the way.
yeah. I fucking wish I didn't close the video because I literally just had it open and seen that part. That's what I was just talking about it for.
Because if it's going to be a complete reboot, I bet you they're still going to have a lot of the big flagship moments, and that nuke is probably one of the most honestly, like even to date, that nuke going off, like
Yeah,
holy
actually.
fuck, a nuke going off is one of the most memorable moments, surprise moments in just gaming history. Like
Okay.
you're flying away and your mission successful, bad guy's dead in Call of Duty at its peak, boom, nuke goes off. What the fuck?
So here you
Like,
go. These are the humanitarian workers I was just talking about. Because you can see, like, they've just got rescue helmets on. They don't have any weapons. They have just pads on, gloves.
Yeah.
There's a child here that's dead. No, like, you watch, and then
Sorry,
like
I
there's all
shouldn't
this.
laugh.
No, it's just how I said it.
Yeah.
It might even just be a stuffed doll because it literally just looks. Yeah. There's this big, but there's this big cloud of smoke. It might just be a bomb going off. Like that is possible. Like,
Yeah.
when you watch like that bit there, like they're always helping people out of rubble. Like, so obviously it's going to focus on that stuff. Like, it's going to focus on the civilian aspects of a war.
Smaller scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be real. Like, that's the shit that I like. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I like Rainbow Six for that reason. And I mean, like, I really like Rainbow Six Siege for a different reason, but like the Rainbow Six franchise, the story around it is because it still has some sort of bombastic moments, but for the most part, it's like close quarter combat of like small scale. I'm not fighting army versus army kind of shit, you know what I mean? And I'm also not a fucking god. I'm not the guy who guns down 300 guys in one level.
This is the part where I thought it might have been a reboot of it because of the like helicopter. It was a significant scene. Remember when you're flying over the city and the Blackhawks?
Yeah, at the beginning of that level.
Yeah, and like this scene here as well.
And like a tank like goes over like a ridge. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in the desert and you're on the ground and you're going building by building searching for that dude, remember?
I like how we spent like 15-20 minutes like trying to like humble up our opinions of what it was and then just Googled it and it told us right away.
Yeah.
But like there's a part actually, sorry, I didn't mean to close. There's a part here where it's just it looks like a civilian just in the gas area.
Oh, the kid? Yeah.
So it looks like it is going to be more. I was looking for something else too, but I can't. This bit here, there was a scene in it was Modern Warfare 2 when the Russians come in and they drop paratroopers on over America. This is what I thought of straight away when I seen that. It was like I saw this and I was like, that's what I thought of straight away. Just the American part where you're in America and they're invading America.
Oh yeah.
Because like that looks like what would you call it? A Western civilized.
Right, it doesn't look like we're in the fucking Middle East kind of thing.
I like to imagine, sorry, because the shot is so tight, I like to imagine that everything except for this room and this door sill hasn't been made yet. Just like, this is perfect. This is all we need for this shot.
Yeah, as a game developer, you're like, this is it.
Yeah,
this is it.
That's all there is. Everything else is gray.
Yeah. And then this bit is just the same. No.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
Yeah, none of that's actually textured. They just put it in night vision so that they wouldn't have to have it ready.
Yeah, it is. It's just green and black, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, I know that you're Viking. You're not necessarily excited for it, but I'm looking forward to seeing the multiplayer trailer and seeing.
I'm actually kind of excited for this. I think this is going to be a good direction. And I've always been like I bought the last Black Ops, and it was still like I don't think this is going to be good. I actually am kind of optimistic for this.
I hope that they focus a lot on their story because they have these significant, like we said earlier, they have these.
100%.
I think they will. I think they will because of the rich story. I think because they had the last game or two didn't have a story. I think the last one didn't have a story at all, and I think their sales show it, and a lot of people were pissed.
Because how many people do you reckon buy the game for the storyline? Other than the
very few.
Not very. Yeah. Or they'll buy it for the story and multiplayer, or just the multiplayer. Nobody's just buying it for the story.
Well, I buy it for just the story, and then I go back and fucking sell it again.
Yeah.
But like, that's because that's all I wanted to do. Like, I'll try the multiplayer. Like, I'll get to like level 10 in the multiplayer. And be like, okay, I actually don't like this. I'll just get rid of it.
Hopefully they do better.
The only multiplayer I did like was the Modern Warfare multiplayer. That was it. I didn't really like. Oh, maybe Black Ops wasn't too bad.
Black Ops 1 was good.
Yeah. And then Nazi Zombies, like Nancy was saying before, was that they remember that. Because obviously, remember when Nazi Zombies first came out in World at War?
Yes.
It was just like, there's a new game mode, and you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah. It was it was kind of like the first
zombie survival. As in,
to
like,
be fair, at the time they were no, because I'm going to call bullshit. At the time, they were copying Horde mode from Gears of War. Horde mode came first, and they were trying to cash in on their version of, and it got bigger. Gears of War started it.
I remember that now, yeah.
Yeah. This is a lot of games like are starting to add a battle royale mode because battle royale is big right now. The zombies was their version of that to combat horde mode.
Mordhau has a battle royale in it too.
Does it?
Yeah, it's a fucking.
Okay, we're not gonna dive into Mordhau because we have to start winding down now. Actually.
Yeah, we do.
So as everybody always knows, Vike and I have an op to go to, and he's gonna stream it.
Yeah.
Question
yeah.
mark? Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I got anything else happening. So yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck's going on? So Vike, if you want to start winding this down.
Winding it down is like pretty hard to do because we do just end up keep talking. We did that with Dagger last time. We actually got we were just on time for the op to.
Well, that's why I let us sort of talk it out and wait until the talking ended. So now we have 12, 13 minutes, which is about the same time, but we're not winding down 10 minutes ago and continuing talking. We've kind of finished the talking. Now we can wind down properly.
This is after you just said, "I'm gonna put a gun to your head, and you need to shut the fuck up." So I'm going to say thanks, Mortsy, for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Obviously, you've heard us through Coop, I'm guessing. Or Nancy, if you've heard through Nancy. I don't know. It could be anyone, really. I don't know how the fuck our show gets out there these days. But yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Oh, this was actually a lot of fun. It was cool. Nice to... I don't necessarily get to discuss things like this, and of course it's always good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I
and
said,
cut out, but I read your lips and I knew what you said. So
before I said before Mortsy came on.
Oh god, he's gonna be so loud.
Before Mortsy came on, I was like, Mortsy, have you seen any episodes? He's like, no. And I'm like, literally all we did was we'll ask you a couple of questions and then we'll just fucking ignore you for the rest of the show and talk about.
Oh, did you really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was before you hopped in.
Yeah, we're just because that's what we do. We prepare, get a guest on. We'll ask him about what do you do? You told us you were you're professional Street Fighter player, kinda, not really, yeah.
I wouldn't use that word, but you can use whatever label you like.
No. I said kinda, not really.
I said you're in the professional circuit. You're not a professional, you're in the professional circuit. That's how I worded it.
The tournaments are open, so anyone could be in the circuit, should they?
So anyone
yes,
can be a
you have to
professional.
be good enough to not get destroyed.
Yeah.
So, well, what you told us last time, what was the rank that you got to last time?
49th.
49th.
I got 49th at the event.
Out of 600?
Yes.
Which is really, I would say that's fucking amazing, actually.
I was pretty stoked. I thought you were going to do shittier, no offense.
Oh, understandable. I mean, I lost my second game. I talked a little about the seeding. The guy that I lost to, my second game, the guy that I lost to, he got 7th in the tournament.
Oh, right. But that's alright,
Yeah.
You got to, I would feel like if I got above 50, I would be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm very happy with how I did.
Yeah.
I would have loved one more win for those 5 juicy Capcom points, but that'll be for Evo, because I'm going to the next tournament that I'm traveling to is in Vegas at the start of August, and that will have, as opposed to this one had 600 people, this next tournament will have around 2,500.
If you're not in the top 50, we're gonna not have you on the show ever again.
Well, all joking aside, after you're done that, we might come you back on to see how you got fucked on. So
yeah,
I mean, how good you did.
I'm gonna be sick, dude. That's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna kick ass.
Okay, but we do have to wind. So thank you for everybody who came and chatted, hung out. Thank you, Farsight, for coming in and giving him another Leaf title and fucking with him. That was good. That was good fun. If you guys want to either follow or subscribe to Viking on his Twitch channel here, that's where you're going to be able to get more Underclocked, as well as be able to watch some of the other shit he does, including the arm out that we're about to do.
Don't do that. If you're looking for more Underclocked at the moment, in the progress at the moment, we are actually making another Underclocked.
Oh yeah, that.
Twitch channel. I actually do have it here somewhere.
Welcome to the Viking Armada.
Nancy and Mortsy, thank you for the follow. Alright, so I'll get a quick
welcome
for it.
To the Viking
Yeah, you keep doing
Armada.
that. I'll keep winding this down.
Yeah.
If you are, Mortsy, as we said, thank you for coming on the show. It's always good to talk to you, man. I mean, I know we talk every day, but it's good to see and talk to you. It's not like I don't talk to you, but it's good to have you on and have. So again, as I said, we are generally very not Arma focused, but we talk about that kind of stuff a lot. So it's kind of good to take a big right turn into something that me and Viking aren't even really good versed in. So we can have you kind of just sort of ramble on about shit and us ask questions and learn some stuff.
Yeah.
So that was good. If you're watching this in the future on YouTube, thank you for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you had fun, you can like and subscribe. If you see anything else on the channel here you like, other than this, like there's other shit obviously, you can
Don't
like
watch
that
it.
stuff and you can subscribe for that. It really helps me out and I really do appreciate it. We thank you for coming to the end. The link to Mortsy's Twitch channel, which is now an affiliate, will be in the description of the YouTube video down below. Is there anything else you want me to link to?
I mean, you can link my Twitter if you really
Sure.
want.
So we'll also stick his Twitter down there, so you can follow him there for when he goes to these events. You can kind of track him. He likes to live tweet fucking everything. Like he takes like 3 inhales and then makes a tweet about it. So if you want to follow him along, you can do that. I know that your plane was delayed. Why do I know that?
Look, man, I'm just using Twitter for what it was made for.
No,
okay?
I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying if you want to follow him, you're gonna know what he's doing. But yeah, so thank you for coming to the show, and thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. But until the next stream, video, or podcast, I think we're going to call it and see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, later, dudes.